Hello class, this is Professor Norton, and today's lecture will focus on integers, orders of operation, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers. And so we are in week 6 now, and what I wanted to start off by saying is do not grow weary in the fact that we started class a couple weeks late. This is material that I'm confident that each of you, as you work through these lessons and you work through the classwork and the quizzes, you'll come up to speed with, and we should be able to finish this semester strong. So on that note, I want to start by talking about integers. So far we've talked about the entire set of numbers, real numbers, natural numbers, whole numbers. You should have been reading through chapters 1 and into chapter 2 by now. And so I'm going to touch briefly on orders of operation. So you probably remember in high school at some point learning something called PEMDAS or PEMDAS. And I'm already having problems with that color, but PEMDAS. And so PEMDAS is the acronym that we use to remember orders of operation, where the P stands for parentheses, the E stands for exponent, the M stands for multiplication, the D for division, the A for addition, and the S for subtraction. So the way this thing works is I start with my parentheses, then I go to my exponents, I do multiplication or division, whichever comes first in my equation when I'm reading it from left to right, addition and subtraction, whichever comes first in my equation when I'm looking at it from left to right. And so when I was growing up, instead of remembering PEMDAS, I remembered, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It doesn't matter whatever creative way you come up with to remember this, just remember PEMDAS is how we determine our orders of operation. So there was a social media problem that kind of wrecked the Twitter and Facebook and Instagram a few months ago, and it was centered around orders of operation. And so, and the big thing was, you might have seen it on your feed. It was, what's the right answer to this problem? Is it this or is it that? And I laughed at it because when I shared it with my family, being a former math teacher and educator, and everyone in my household was convinced that the problem that the solution they came up with for the problem was the answer. And so they were disheartened when I shared with them that really they had violated PEMDAS. And so PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So I'll give you a problem real quick. We'll work through it. Let's say this is my problem. So, 4 divided by 2, parentheses, 3 plus 1. If I'm operating, doing my orders of operation, and I'm trying to remember my PEMDAS, what's the first thing I do in this problem? Well, I look for my parentheses. There they are. Here's my parenthetical, my parentheses. So what's in parentheses? I focus on that first. 3 plus 1, that's 4. Now that I've worked out or solved the solution for what's in my parentheses, the parentheses they're here. I rewrite my problem, 4 divided by 2, parentheses 4. Now here's where a lot of people get in trouble. And this was kind of going back to the social media problem from a few months ago. When you look at this problem, you still see a set of parentheses, and so people say, okay, well, now what I have to do is I have to do 2 times 4, and this is what they do. They do 4 divided by 2 times 4, which is 8, and 4 divided by 8, my answer is 1 over 5, or 0.5. People are like, yay, yay, yay. Well, guess what? That's incorrect, because even though I have a parenthetical here, I'm going to jump over to a clean white sheet. When I rewrite my problem, 4 divided by 2, parentheses 3 plus 1, I do my parentheses first. So this is 4 divided by 2, now parentheses 3 plus 1 is parentheses 4. At this point, 2 outside of parentheses 4 is no longer me operating by parentheses. It is now moved into the realm of multiplication. This is a product. This is 2 times 4. So now when I do this problem, I've done my parentheses. There's no exponents. I look at multiplication or division, whichever comes first, left to right. So if I read my problem, I have 4 divided by 2 times 4. So the first operation that comes in place is division. So this is actually 4 divided by 2, which is 2 times 4. 2 times 4 equals 8. So it's not 1/2. As you can see, you got very different answers. Both look correct, but this is actually the correct answer. So that's a short recap on orders of operation. By all means, look through that section. I believe it's section 1.9 in your textbook. Do some of those order of operation problems. It doesn't matter if they use fractions. It doesn't matter if there's big numbers, small numbers. Just stick to this and always rewrite your problem. So in both examples, I'm rewriting my problem after I have performed an operation. Okay? So that's key there. All right. So we've done orders of operation. Now I'm going to focus my attentions on integers. So what's the difference between an integer and, let's say, a whole number or a natural number or a real number? So an integer, if I remember whole numbers start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Natural numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going forward. Integers go from negative numbers, -3, -2, -1. They cover 0. They go positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's an integer. Today we're going to talk about first adding and subtracting integers. And so people don't have a difficult time with adding and subtracting integers. The biggest problem tends to come in when we're adding and subtracting not positive integers, but positive and negative integers. So here are a few key rules. All right. Integers. Rule number 1. If I'm adding integers, right? So let's say I have a adding integers. All I do is add the integers and keep the sign. So what do I mean? Let's say I have, this doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative.